Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my videos. This is your Manchester United Burnley preview. It's Sunday 4 o'clock kickoff at Old Trafford. Now we recently beat Granada 2-0 in the Europa League quarter-final second leg at Old Trafford. It was 4-0 on aggregate because we beat Granada 2-0 in the first leg. The goals in the second leg came from Edinson Cavani. It was a good volley from Edinson Cavani and it was a good backward header by Paul Pogba. And the second goal was an own goal from Valley Joe. We are now into the semi-finals of the Europa League. That's 5 semi-finals now under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Solskjaer has said we are aiming to finish the season with a trophy, so that makes it a great season. We do play Roma in the semi-finals of the Europa League. Solskjaer has spoke about Manchester United facing Roma. He said Edin Dzeko will pose the main threat when Manchester United play Roma. Mkhitaryan and Chris Smalling will be reuniting with Manchester United. The Europa League is our only chance of winning any silverware this season. Solskjaer knows how imperative it is to get his first trophy on the board as Man United manager. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. Now Burnley, they're currently sitting 16th in the Premier League. Their current manager is Sean Dyche. He's been at Burnley almost 10 years, so he's been a long-serving manager with them. Before he was at Burnley, he was at Watford. Burnley have got some good players. Chris Wood, he's one of their key players. Burnley got Chris Wood from Leeds. Ashley Barnes, he's one of their key players. I think he's been out with injury. Jay Rodriguez, he's one of their key players. Vidra, he's one of their key players. Tarkowski, he's also a good player. They've got Long. Long's out with injury. Brady, he's out with injury. Pope, he's also out with injury. Their goalkeeper. Burnley brought a few players in last year. They brought Dale Stephens in. They brought Anthony Mancini in. They brought Will Norris in and Josh Brownhill. Ashley Westwood is quite good for Burnley and so too is Ben Mee. Now Burnley beat us at Old Trafford last season 2-0. That was their first win at Old Trafford in 58 years. We did beat them at Turf Moor earlier on this season 1-0. We beat them at Turf Moor last season 2-0. We won our last league game against Tottenham 3-1. And I said, reflecting on that win against Tottenham, that secures us a second place finish. Burnley, they lost their last league game against Newcastle 2-1. I think Solskjaer has done his press conference for this game. So my next video, I'll be giving you my reaction to his press conference. I think Marcus Rashford should be available for this game. He didn't play in the second leg recently against Granada. He was out with a foot injury. Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw and Scott McTominay will be back for this game against Burnley because they all missed out against Granada recently because they were suspended. Anthony Martial, he's still out with injury. Solskjaer confirmed not so long ago that it's very likely he'll be out for the rest of the season. Phil Jones, he's still out with injury, but he doesn't get in our 11 anyway. And Eric Bailly has been out with COVID. Our next game after Burnley is Leeds. That'll be a very, very entertaining game. Now, on my last video, I give you the news on, Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba recently gave an exclusive interview to Sky and he slammed Jose Mourinho. He says Jose Mourinho went against the players and he said Solskjaer is different. We had Jose Mourinho for 2.5 years. You can say he enjoyed one good season at Man United because he did win 3 trophies at the club and he also got second place, I think, in his first season. But the main explanations it didn't work out under Jose Mourinho when we had him is because he had bad disputes with the board, bad disputes with the top players, and the board weren't backing the signings that he wanted to recommend in. I'd like Paul Pogba to stay potentially past the summer, because Paul Pogba brings creativity to the team. Disregarding Pogba, we lack creativity and we are far too defensive. I think Pogba's better in more of an advanced role because that's where he's more effective. I'm not too keen on him in a deeper role. But in recent months, we've been getting the best out of him. Earlier on this season, Paul Pogba was out with a thigh injury. He was out for a while. He was out for the first part of this season with an ankle injury. And he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So, sustained a few injuries now at Man United. This is Pogba's 5th season at the football club since he rejoined, and is our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. He's had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked to a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him. His former club Juventus have been in for him. I said there's a good chance he'll go back to Juventus if he leaves Man United because Pogba enjoyed 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined us, and swap deals have been high on the agenda. There's been reports from the Italian press saying that there could be a swap deal involving Cristiano Ronaldo and Paul Pogba. Barcelona have also been in for Pogba. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer did say that Paul Pogba's future lies at Man United. And he hopes that Paul Pogba will stay and sign a new contract. Our players will be devastated if the club decide to sell Pogba. Pogba's current contract expires next year because earlier on this season we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract, so he's under contract with the club until June 2022. Mini Oriola's obviously been desperate to get his client out of the football club. In the summer transfer window, we're going to focus on the incomings and the outgoings. There's a lot of players that Man United are looking at. Now, I recently gave you the news on Rafael Varane from Real Madrid. Apparently now Rafael Varane to Man United could be off because apparently Sergio Ramos is leaving Real Madrid. So if Ramos is leaving Real Madrid, I doubt very much that they'll let Rafael Varane go. Reports from Spain said yesterday that Man United were in advanced talks with Rafael Varane. Real Madrid are demanding £60 million for Rafael Varane, but we hope to lower Real Madrid's £60 million asking price. We're preparing a transfer bid, and Rafael Varane is ready to leave Real Madrid in the summer. Rafael Varane's contract talks with Real Madrid have stalled. He's got just over a year left on his current contract. Eduardo Inda, the Spanish transfer expert, said earlier on this season that Rafael Varane could be on his way to Manchester United. Earlier on this season, it said that Real Madrid were prepared to sell Rafael Varane on one condition: he must inform Real Madrid on his decision to leave. Back in 2018, we was prepared to sanction a £100 million move. But Rafael Varane would complement Harry Maguire in our back line. He's highly experienced, he's 27 years of age. He's endured, 10 years at Real Madrid, so he's been a long-serving player. He's won 18 major honours at Real Madrid and he's made over 300 appearances. Real Madrid paid just €10 million for him from Lens back in 2011. We've been looking at quite a few centre-halves because it said not so long ago that Solskjaer had drawn up a 6-man centre-back shortlist. The first 4 names are Jules Koundé from Sevilla, Pau Torres from Villarreal, Konate from RB Leipzig and Rafael Varane from Real Madrid. The other 2 weren't named. I've been talking with you about Declan Rice recently because there has been narratives coming out saying that Declan Rice is interested in joining Manchester United. Declan Rice has asked Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw about life at Old Trafford. West Ham are demanding over £100 million. He's a good player, Declan Rice, but he ain't worth over £100 million. I reckon he's worth from between 50 to 60 million, maybe 70 million at a push. It said earlier on this season that Solskjaer agreed with our recruitment team that Declan Rice would be the perfect signing for the club. The reasons I'd take him at Manchester United is because he's well proven in the Premier League. He's young, he's got a lot of development in him, and he would dramatically improve us, and he's predominantly a holding midfielder, but he can also be deployed as a centre-half. Rice has been at West Ham 7 years, he's got a contract with them until 2024. Before he was at West Ham, he was at Chelsea. He was in their youth setup for several years, but he never got in Chelsea's first team. You know the news on Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. Erling Haaland leaving Borussia Dortmund is very, very likely, reflecting on Dortmund's Champions League exit to Man City. It recently said from the Express, we are worried about the Erling Haaland transfer pursuit because of Jadon Sancho. Mino Raiola wants to make Erling Haaland the first ever £1 million a week player. The Athletic did recently say though that we're one of the clubs that can afford him, but it said actually Erling Haaland to Man United is off following Mino Raiola's roadshow. And you know the news on Jadon Sancho? recent reports said that Man United have been given a new Jadon Sancho transfer price. It's £86 million. So Dortmund have lowered their asking price because initially they was demanding £108 million. But in the summer transfer window, I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings. And I've identified the areas where we need to strengthen up. I think we need a striker, we need a right winger, we need a defensive midfielder, and we also need a centre half. Earlier on this season, it says that Man United will spend big in the summer transfer window, but Solskjaer did say that he wants to keep transfer dealings quiet. I can assure Solskjaer will be Man United manager in the summer transfer window, and he'll be Man United manager next season because we've already said that Solskjaer will not be sacked even if we fail to win the Europa League. And Solskjaer should get the backing he deserves in the summer transfer window because we've got John Murtough, he's our director of football. We've got Darren Fletcher, he's our technical director, and Woodward, he's standing by Solskjaer. He believes Solskjaer is the right man to lead the club forward. He did release a statement earlier on this season saying that the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear, so in that aspect Woodward is backing Solskjaer, and in general Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ole, even when we was enduring them really bad periods. Our board have got a soft stance on Solskjaer with him being a legend of the club. The summer transfer window will be his 5th transfer window as permanent Man United manager. He did say earlier on this season, Solskjaer, that we may not do business as usual due to the pandemic, but he's interested in bringing in players that will be a perfect fit for the club. Quite a few players are going to leave Manchester United in the summer transfer window. Edinson Cavani, he could be leaving. I hope he doesn't leave. I want him to stay for next season. I think a lot of Man United fans want him to stay for next season, and so too does Solskjaer. Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Tottenham that he's unsure over Cavani's future. Not so long ago, we held showdown talks with Edinson Cavani over his future at the club. He recently said that we've been handed a boost in our attempt to keep hold of Edinson Cavani because the Uruguay manager has advised Edinson Cavani to stay in Europe. Footballer Insider said not so long ago that Edinson Cavani is willing to take a pay cut to join Boca Juniors, and he has a verbal agreement already with Boca Juniors, and Boca Juniors are willing to offer him a 3-year contract. Marcus Rojo, who's a former Manchester United player, he held conversations with Edinson Cavani over a move to Boca Juniors, and he urged Edinson Cavani to quit Man United for Boca Juniors by promising to take him fishing. Ole did say earlier on this season though that Cavani is closer to Boca Juniors than staying at Manchester United, and prior to that Edinson Cavani's father came out and said that Edinson Cavani is unhappy, he doesn't feel comfortable in England and he wants to leave. Cavani has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. In a lot of his games his hold-up play's been good, he's kept the ball well, he's created chances, and he's also scored goals. There's also been some games where he hasn't got enough service and he's looked isolated. Got him on a free transfer last summer, didn't we? Signed a 1-year contract with the club with an option of a 2nd year. A lot of United fans are saying that we need to offload Anthony Martial in the summer because he's been out of form for the vast majority of this season. The chances have been there for Martial, but he hasn't converted them. Solskjaer said earlier on this season that he's backing Martial to rediscover his form, and he said he's been impressed with Anthony Martial's work rate. Martial's been at the club over 5 years. I reckon he's had 2 good seasons. I thought he was good last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. We got Martial in a deal worth 54 million from Monaco. I think there's a good chance that we'll offload Juan Mata in the summer transfer window. You know, Juan Mata doesn't get in our 11. His current contract expires in June, but there is an option to trigger his contract for a further year. My element of concern about Juan Mata, he's lost that yard of pace, and plus he's ageing up. First part of this season, Juan Mata rejected an 18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. Juan Mata has been at the club over 6 years, so I think he's had a good career at Man United. We got him in a deal worth 40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Donny van der Beek, will he leave Man United in the summer transfer window? I think he should, because he's not getting enough opportunities at Manchester United. You know, most of Donny van der Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. And there has been talks of a Donny van der Beek and Adrian Rabiot swap deal. But Ronald de Boer has actually backed Donny van der Beek to become a success at Manchester United. Ronald de Boer said not so long ago that Donny van der Beek still feels loved at the club, despite his lack of game time. Now, earlier on this season, it said that Donny van der Beek wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward over his future. And prior to that, he said he wanted to quit Man United after 1 season due to his lack of game time. We need to give him more opportunities because he's a good player. Got him in a deal worth 40 million from Ajax last summer, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Nemanja Matic, I think there's a good chance we'll offload him because he's not one of our first choice midfielders. I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. Plus he's in his 30s now. He's been at the club almost 4 years. Got him in a deal worth 40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Phil Jones, I want us to offload him because he doesn't get in our 11. Plus, he's always been inconsistent and he's been out with injury for over a year. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at Man United, so he's been a long servant. He's the only outfield player that's still here from the Ferguson era. Romero, I think we'll offload him because Romero's like our 3rd or 4th choice goalkeeper now, and there's a good chance that we'll offload David De Gea. Some United fans think it would be a mistake to let David De Gea go. I don't think it would be. I think, David De Gea's had his years now at Manchester United. But there's a lot of players that are going to stay at Man United in the summer transfer window, and I reckon there's quite a few players that have got long-term futures at the club. Henderson will stay. He's definitely long-term for Man United. Luke Shaw will stay. Harry Maguire will stay at Man United, potentially past the summer, but I'm not sure about long-term. Victor Lindelof will stay potentially past the summer, but Lindelof is not going to be here long-term. I think Bale will stay potentially past the summer, but he's not long-term. And Wan-Bissaka, he'll definitely stay. I think he's got a long-term future at Man United. He is a very, very good right-back. I think Fred will stay. I don't know about long-term though. We overpaid for Fred. We got him in a deal worth 52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. Scott McTominay will stay because he's a decent player. but he's not yet at that level where I want him to be at. You know, McTominay's still young. He's got a lot of development in him. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes will stay. You know, he's made the difference. Greenwood will stay because he's been fantastic since he broke into our first team squad. And I think Marcus Rashford will also stay. Amad Diallo Traore will stay because I've already said, you know, he looks a good asset for the first team squad. Daniel James will stay as well. He's got his way back into the team. At one point, he lost his place in the team. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I've said he does deserve at least another season at Manchester United because progress has been made in certain aspects. But I'll still stick to what I've said before. He isn't the long-term manager for Manchester United. A lot of United fans have been demanding Ole out. Obviously, they've got main explanations why they want him out. But I presume that there's still quite a lot of Man United fans that are Solskjaer in and believes that he needs more time. This is his second full season. I can assure we'll finish in the top 4 this season in the league, which is important. We know that Solskjaer has already agreed a new 3-year contract worth 30 million. You know, it's likely to be 2 years with an option of an extra one. Solskjaer still has 1 year left on his current 3-year contract. Does Ole deserve a new contract? Yeah, in some aspects he does, and maybe some aspects he doesn't. I've got to say, Solskjaer is the best manager since Ferguson. You know, Solskjaer's been Manchester United manager over 2 years now. You know, he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. That's one of my concerns about him. But reflecting now on his been with us, he's gained some managerial experience and he's learned quite a bit on the job and he's tried quite a few different elements. You know, he's tried different formations, he's rotated the squad and that. You know, when Solskjaer got appointed in as Man United manager, he did promise that everybody would get their chances, including the young players. And I like the way Solskjaer's promoted the youth. He's got a lot of trustworthy in his young players. But there's positives regarding Solskjaer. You know, he has made good signings as Manchester United manager. He's spent almost £300 million. He's brought the likes of Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. Also brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odion Ighalo in on loan. We let Ighalo go in January. And he also brought Donny van de Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Amad Diallo Traore and Facundo Pellistri will loan Facundo Pellistri out in January. And so far, Solskjaer's enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. He obviously hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in as yet, but hopefully he'll get the players he wants in the summer. Solskjaer has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he's come in as well. You know, he did well last season in his first full season, guided us to 3 semi-finals, got us qualification for the Champions League and got us a 3rd place finish. You know, this season got us to the EFL Cup semi-final, the FA Cup quarter-final, and he's got us to the Europa League semi-final. We are unbeaten in our last 23 Premier League away games, so we haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. We've been far better away from home than we have been at home this season. We are 2nd in the Premier League and we've enjoyed very good periods under Ole where we have seen consistency, and in some of them good periods he's got the best out of the team. So they are the positives, and Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. We appointed him in December 2018. In his first 3 months, you know, he was the interim manager. He did very, very well as the interim manager, so this is the main explanation the club decided to give him the job permanently 2 years ago. A lot of United fans did say maybe we give him the job too soon. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that particular season to decide or not whether to give him the job. Ole, don't forget, is inheriting players from other managerial eras. You know, there's still some players here from the Mourinho era, still some from the Van Gaal era, but not many. There's Matary from the Moyes era, and there's only 2 from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. I do think that the board's been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years, reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've overpaid for players, and in general, the managers that we've had since Ferguson haven't got the players that they wanted to recommend in. In general, mistakes have been made in the last 8 years, and that's why we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been. 3 managers have been sacked since Ferguson. That was David Moyes, Louis Van Gaal, and Jose Mourinho. So yeah, on my next video, I'll be giving you my reaction to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's press conference. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.